Live, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2015 Global Dialogue on Waste. We're proud to be conducting our panel discussions consecutively for the third year to disseminate knowledge in waste management. As part of the 2015 Global Dialogue on Waste, we will host a panel discussion every Wednesday until the end of December this year. Our next panel will be on September 23rd, and you can learn more about the time and other details of all upcoming panels by following us on social media or by subscribing to our newsletter. Today, our panel will explore opportunities for entrepreneurs in waste management. In 2013, as one of our first panels, we brought Tom Shakey of TerraCycle and Bilikis Adebiyi of Recyclers to discuss entrepreneurship in waste management, and things have been changing rapidly since then, and our panel today will continue that discussion, that very important discussion. And a special mention, last week in Belgium, at the International Solid Waste Association's Congress, the Young Professionals Group put together a wonderful workshop and panel discussion on entrepreneurship in waste management. Heights, who's on our panel today, was part of that group, and I was really inspired by it, and I hope they get to share the highlights of the event with us. We welcome you to join this conversation with your questions and comments, and you can use the live chat window on our homepage or tweet to us with #WasteWise. If you're watching this video after this live broadcast, you can find recordings of all our panel discussions on our website, www.wastewise.be. So to start today's discussion, we have Daniella Russo from Think Beyond Plastic Inclusive, and Gijs Langeveld from BinBang, Sophie Vandenberg from Waste Advisors, and Srikrishna Balachandran from I Got Garbage Mindtree. Let's start with introductions. And Daniella, do you want to introduce yourself and then the work that you're doing?
Yes, thank you, Rajiv. Think Beyond Plastic is an innovation accelerator with focus on plastic pollution. So we don't focus largely on waste, we focus specifically on plastic pollution. We are rooted in the belief that plastic pollution can not only be addressed with behavior change, but essentially needs innovation and entrepreneurship, global transformative policies, and a massive effort behind it, supported by NGOs as well. So we look into plastic pollution as an innovation, unexplored innovation and investment opportunity.
Thank you, Daniella. Gijs Langeveld, do you want to go next?
Yes, I'm Gijs Langeveld from the Netherlands, and I'm working in waste management now for 6 years, and mainly I'm a project manager and coordination for the last 5 years. And 1.5 years ago, I started together with Anya Shiriakova BinBang, and we sell waste separation bins at 95 euros each, which both have the bin or the bin itself and the bang. So we try to influence the behavior of people and get them to separate their waste.
Thank you, Gijs. And Sophie?
Hello, everybody. My name is Sophie van Berg. I work in the Netherlands. Waste is an international NGO working already for more than 30 years in solid waste and sanitation projects in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. In more than 20 countries around the world, we empower people to improve their own environments and livelihoods by building sustainable sanitation and solid waste systems. Our approach is that we build sustainable systems. And in order to realize clean environment and healthy cities, it is key to change the solid waste system where it works, that it works in the way it works. We believe that a sustainable waste system needs a functioning market and also a functioning public sector providing waste management services. Because building recycling plants and landfills might be easy, but delivering that work is really our unique approach, and our research activities and our experience ensure the development of sustainable waste markets and a system with local ownership. Also in business development, we developed a lot of trainings to also bring the waste sector in a lot of countries on a higher level. And these trainings are not workshops, standalone workshops, but are embedded in a training trajectory. So we will have the best results at the end. Waste also has an incubator program in which we support innovative ideas of entrepreneurs. And we also have free feedback Friday session, we call them. And in that we give free advice to entrepreneurs in developing countries or innovative ideas but who are implemented in developing countries.
Thank you, Sophie. Waste Advisors has been around for a great time, and they've done amazing work. So now, Srikrishna, can you please unmute yourself and then give us an introduction?
Yeah. Hi everyone. This is Srikrishna. I'm from Bangalore, India. We are from a company called Mindtree, which is basically an IT services company. But we have started this project called I Got Garbage, which is like we are trying to build an IT platform with a suite of applications to onboard different waste generators, waste service providers, even the government, and all bring different stakeholders together on an online working platform, which will be mutually beneficial for all of them present in the platform. We support entrepreneurship. We have certain business models inbuilt in our solution. So we have a set of projects which we run across different cities of India right now. And as we scale up, as more and more people started using our platform, we will be able to scale outside India as well. So that is what we do.
Thank you, Srikrishna. And to start the discussion today, there's been a lot of discussion in US, Europe, and around the world about the need to move towards more sustainable patterns of consumption and also managing our resources. But putting all that discussion aside, I think to disrupt the business as usual scenario, encouraging entrepreneurs is extremely important because they are the people who bring in new ideas and new systems altogether. And here I'd like to invite Daniella to talk about what she sees as the role of entrepreneurs in this business.
Well, thank you, Ranjiv. We very much focus on innovation and entrepreneurship because we believe that harnessing the forces of innovation and entrepreneurship brings essentially the best of market forces, and that can transform an industry and transform a problem. So, as I said, our lens is plastic pollution, and for many years now, the world has been looking at the accumulating piles of plastic around the world, in the ocean, in communities, in the air, if you will, as toxic particulate matter. And the only call to action has been, let's not use so much plastic. And this is not really possible. I think our consumption pattern has to reduce to a number that is more manageable. But our society is not based on the reduction of our plastic use. What's more important is not looking into how much plastic we use, but what is the nature of this material? What makes it so bad and the end of life so challenging? And in reality, when we began to look at the problem this way, we said plastic, despite it being a great material, is indestructible. It practically lasts forever. It is highly toxic, and that has to impact the fact that we use it for food and water in beverage packaging in a big way. And it's lightweight, which makes it very prone to litter. So then the question is there another way for us to use this material? And is there another material to be had in lieu of plastic for food and beverage packaging? And so this is not the question that the activism society can answer. This is a question that entrepreneurs and innovators can answer. And so we turn to them with that question. And as a result of this, we're running today the first accelerator of businesses focused specifically on plastic pollution. And we said we're looking for innovation, disruptive innovation in material, manufacturing, recycling, and design. Material innovation includes any kind of material that has the properties of plastic without the toxicity, end-of-life challenges, and comes close to its economic properties. In other words, it has to be cheap, it has to be able to be manufactured to scale, because this is what makes plastic so pervasive and such a problem. So from our standpoint, there are 4 major areas of innovation, and this is where we see the entrepreneurs focusing their effort. Product design that eliminates and reduces the use of conventional plastics, such as we know it today, especially when it comes to exposure to food and beverage packaging. Material innovation. So there is a lot of agricultural waste that can be made use of, and a lot of our innovators are using bagasse, corn husks, and other woodsy material that would normally be intended for waste. There is material that is plentiful, such as nanocrystalline cellulose and cellulosic material that is readily available around the world and very cheap. And that can make some very good alternatives to plastic and plastic film. Then we look into innovations in recycling, and that is badly needed, because our conventional recycling mechanisms are only tailored to the conventional plastic and the kinds of waste we deal with today. So we need more innovation, more recycling mechanisms that are able to handle different mixed materials, materials that are not necessarily clean, bioplastic, which we're woefully inadequate in handling right now, and compostables. So when you look into the plethora of solutions that can potentially be available, there is a lot of opportunity for innovation and entrepreneurship. But the question there is not just whether the solutions are available, but are they interesting to investors? And this is where the greatest challenge is right now. So we found ourselves not just encouraging innovation and entrepreneurship, but developing the investment ecosystem. Because the waste is kind of the final product of our consumption patterns. But if we begin to disrupt the entire chain and change the materials and change the production, then these are some different kind of investors that we're looking for, and we're encouraging to put money into revamping this entire cycle. So where the opportunities are is not just in developing the solutions, it's in early stage investment in these disruptive innovations, and there are some institutional investors that are interested in this as well. And last but not least, I should say, every one of these solutions is coupled with transformative public policies. And this is something that is very important globally, because we need to encourage innovation and entrepreneurship with focus on this big problem. We don't necessarily need the next Twitter or the next Google. This is fun, and it's great money, and it's a great investment opportunity, but it doesn't solve the world's problem. One of the world's largest problems right now is around waste, it's around global health, it's around climate change, and we want to see investments that encourage innovation and entrepreneurship in that space. So from our perspective, this is where the biggest growth is, this is where the biggest opportunities are, and we look into transformative solutions that not just solve the problem, but create jobs and create opportunities in communities around the world.
Thank you, Daniella. My next question will be to Sophie about her experiences with any entrepreneurs changing business as usual. But before that, let me explain. Let me tell you that Daniella was working with Plastic Pollution Coalition before this, and they've done wonderful outreach, and I myself was a fan of the kind of outreach that they were doing. And but after all of that, I mean, we were looking towards plastic pollution. I mean, we were looking at the way they were doing the outreach and wanted to do something like that for the waste management industry. But later on, I realized I found out that Daniella moved on to Think Beyond Plastic, which was an innovator, which was an accelerator for entrepreneurship, and that kind of underpins or underscores the importance of entrepreneurship for me in waste management. So thank you, Daniella. And Sophie, so do you want to talk about the role of, I mean, do you have any examples that you've seen where entrepreneurs did change business as usual?
Yes, thank you, Daniela, for your very exciting explanation, because one of my main interests is also the plastic and plastic recycling. and with the focus on developing countries. And what I've seen in developing countries is that the amount of plastics is increasing. People are using more and more plastic, the consumption is rising, and it is everywhere. The problems are increasing, so there's a lot of challenge to find solutions to this problem. But also I see a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of activity in plastic recycling, innovative activity, but also what I see in developing countries is that it's different from European countries because the real challenge lies in the collection. There are no systems of separate collection, and in many countries you see waste pickers or wet pickers going through the garbage and taking out all of the plastic items, and it is recycled. For example, in Ghana, they drink water from the water sachets, and these are everywhere on the streets. And the last time that I was in Accra in Ghana, I saw all water sachets were picked up from the streets by women, and they were brought into a recycling company. So it is a system, an inclusive system, where everybody in the value chain benefits from this recycling activity. And that is because there is money in the plastic waste. It's only because there is a profit for all people involved in a recycling chain. So I find it very interesting, and maybe we can talk about this later also.
Great. Thank you, Sophie.
May I just interject one thing here, because I think it's essential to our conversation. Sophie, you say there is money. There was money in recycling. Increasingly, this is not the case anymore, especially with PET plastic, because the cost of virgin oil, virgin plastic has dropped so low that all the people who used to make a living from collecting recyclable bottles are no longer able to do this. I just returned from Honduras when we had extensive visit with landfill managers. And I think this is something that we all need to talk about. How does the dropping price of oil affect the incentives for collecting recyclable plastic? It is a big problem all over the world right now.
Yes, you're totally right.
Okay, all right, great. Gijs, do you want to talk about your business and how it's changing the business as usual?
Yeah, well, I think in Europe it's a different situation in the sense that like the processing of waste and also the collection of waste is in the hands of a couple of very large companies or municipalities themselves. So for entrepreneurs, I think the big opportunities are not so much in the collection or the processing itself, but more like in high quality processing, or how to improve separation rates. And to attack a specific set a target of is that we need to think smart and to think over what we're doing and to improve or well, the things that we're doing now. And to my opinion, the only way to do that is with young people who have new, bright ideas and who are still able to think creative and to find new solutions, which can also, of course, be people with gray hair but are still young in mind. But and to us, it was like if I copy it to our own company, BinBang, we saw that like in a lot of houses, the bin for residual waste is actually is nicer. It looks better than the bins where you can put your resources in, like paper or glass. So and that combined, that it takes a lot of space to separate your waste. That's where we came in, and we thought, well, here's an opportunity. So we designed like a bin which you can actually put on top of each other and which really looks nice. And there's also, I think, where you need to think creative and start looking out for different sectors, like, or different specifics. Like it used to be engineering, but right now we're looking into designers. Another aspect with BinBang we're looking into is how to improve the behavioral part of people, and how can you actually influence them with nurturing or priming, or you can and think of new ways, and therefore you need also different backgrounds of people, and the traditional engineering is still needed, but we need new bright perspectives on the old problem. So for us with BinBang, but it's also happening, I think, at all stages. You need new perspectives, and that's also where we came in with the young professional group at ISWA. Is that we just wanted to bring people together and have like a nice brainstorm about what you can actually do within waste management, and not so much listen to other people's stories, but actually go and work on it yourself in a workshop. And I think that's more this generation. We're not only searching for the idea, but we're actually trying to implement it, and after the implementation to adapt to it, or you feel, or to but actually evaluate it and to start all over again. So that for me is entrepreneurship, and well, on a small scale we try to do it with the company, but I think it should be larger, just like Daniella and Sophie told. Like, if you're looking on a world scale, it's not so much in which part of the process the entrepreneurial opportunities are, but it's more about the mindset.
I agree. Thank you, Gijs. And Srikrishna, you're working with, you're developing this suite of software, but you're also additionally working with a lot of entrepreneurs and startup organizations in India. So can you tell us a little bit about the type of organizations that you're working with and what they're doing?
Yeah. So I mean, glad to be part of this discussion and this rich conversation on different kinds of recycling and waste management. Pretty much a little bit background on where we come from and what do we do and why we do this. I think pretty much in any developing country, and predominantly in India, waste is a government property. Everything is contracted out and everything is managed in terms of how, I mean, government has a set of contractors who actually run the waste management. So there is no privatization, everything is government controlled. Not like any other utility, but waste is predominantly a government property. I mean, it's so sad to say that it's a government property, but that's the fact. So because of that, we all know the state of affairs, the inefficient corporations, and the huge amount of waste. The city I live in Bangalore, in a day it generates around 6,000 tons of waste. So that's the quantum size which the corporation is unable to manage. And secondly, there are no entrepreneurs because there is no scope for entrepreneurs. So, and then there are poor rack pickers. There are around 25,000 rack pickers in the city I live in, and all over India there must be around 2.5 million, and all over the world must run into much more. So we are trying to develop very, very low cost solutions, which are like a workaround the government scheme. Like, for example, we have a product which is called Donate Dry Waste. So we ask people to segregate their dry waste, and we do a weekly collection of their dry waste through a set of rack pickers who are converted into recycling managers and with uniform. So we ask people for just donation. So anybody does donation. There is nothing illegal about donation, and people feel you do donation, you feel good about donation, and it's just about waste. It's about waste. So nobody gives a damn about donating dry waste. So we ran this campaign, and we have found out that every 300 doors that we attack, like we tag on, we can generate one job, and around 200 kg of waste can be collected over a 1 week period of accumulation. So this is one product. The second product is called Compost at Home, where I mean, we have a set of trained rack pickers who can go to your house and give you services at your doorstep. Third, we call a total waste management, and fourth, we call a segregation center management. So each of these business solutions come with an IT platform where you have a set of Android apps to work around that. And each of this, the core of all of this is entrepreneurship, especially micro entrepreneurship, because we believe that once an organizations become big, or we started a turnover of, let's say, in thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, then we will get the eye of the government, and government will come and say, what are you doing, and put a lot of red tape. So we want to develop micro entrepreneurs. I mean, we want to develop entrepreneurs out of rack pickers and out of the below poverty line people. And we want to have something like we are kind of inspired with Uber model, where there is very less supervision and you give power through power of technology to the lowest strata of society. In this case, in Uber, it's the case of drivers, but in waste management, we believe the rack picker community can take the ownership, and when they are together, they will be able to fight a government as well. So in this regard, we work with a set of organizations who are NGOs and non-NGOs, as well as private companies. So irrespective of the structure of the organization or the legal implication, whether they are an NGO or not, we believe that we believe only in their entrepreneurial ability to scale. So if it's an NGO, they kind of bring in some rack pickers, and then we have a private limited company who's kind of offering these services to the individuals. So irrespective of the structure, we always believe the waste picker or the rack picker has to be given the power of technology and the business skills to do the delivery of what we want, and we kind of govern it on an IT platform. So we as an organization, we are not for profit. We are funded by our corporate CSR. So for all the organizations that we work for, the software and the business advice and everything is given free of cost. So we have a set of consultants. So I used to work as a business consultant with Ernst & Young, and I have a set of my colleagues who are into hardcore business solutions. But we have quit, and we have started this as of now to provide the kind of white collar job which is very absent, I would say. You cannot have a conversation with somebody who's managing your waste in say in English or any other language in India. It is always the local language, because it's very difficult. You can't find a professional waste management service ever. So we are trying to build that gap, and we are doing a $5 million investment in the current project. We also have a pool of funds, like Daniella said very well about the innovative fundings that we will need in terms of how to build the whole ecosystem. So we have a set of fund pool which we actually work with.
Yeah, I'll get to that question in the next question. I'll get to that point in the next question. And let me explain the context for Srikrishna's work. The city is living in Bangalore, has been going through a waste management crisis, I should say. New York Times actually wrote about Bangalore was called the Garden City, and after the crisis happened, New York Times actually wrote about it, calling it the Garbage City. And it was this city and one more city in the south of India which were going through this, where waste was dumped on the streets, to rot for a few weeks without being picked up. And looking at the infrastructure currently in India, I mean, it lags way behind on what's required for waste management. So ever since I started working in waste management in India, we've been waiting for the government to act upon. But whether the government acts or does not act, I think I see clear solutions through entrepreneurs, because new people are definitely entering this sector right now. I see multiple entrepreneurs doing well in the sector in India right now. And coming back, I think we have only another 15 minutes, so let's try to go really quickly on the existing systems and structures to encourage entrepreneurship in waste management. And Daniella, maybe you can talk about the accelerator that you're running.
Yes, and Ranjit, we can keep talking about this for another 2 hours, because every single thing my colleague said here is so interesting and thought-provoking. But I want to mention one thing. It's really important when we think about waste, not just to think about waste as something we need to deal with, but something we need to transform by going upstream. Because the current type of waste that we deal with is not necessarily the type of waste we need to deal with in the future. We can make it more valuable, we can make it more useful by going upstream. And that is really our approach. So we look to encourage innovation in the material and in the production cycle. And I have to tell you, Sri, I have great faith in Indian entrepreneurs. Our offices are here in Silicon Valley, and I'd say 50% of the people around me are entrepreneurs from India. And they're people with people with very transformative thinking. I come from high tech, and most of the engineers who work for me and my team were from India. And entrepreneurship is a mindset. It's not necessarily something that you learn. It's how you choose to embrace a problem and how you choose to transform it into an opportunity. So our goal has been to encourage this entrepreneurship, and more importantly, to focus on the hot spots where the solutions don't exist and where the problem is the greatest. So we've created this infrastructure that, one, helps them, educates them on where the problems are. Two, educates them on where the opportunities are going to be and where the investment is going. And three, teaches them entrepreneurship, but also teaches them focus on plastic pollution. So our accelerator does exactly that. If you go to thinkbeyondplastic.com, you will see we put together twice a year a whole class for entrepreneurs where we bring speakers from the world of policy, science, material innovation, material science, to talk to them about, you know, what needs to be developed and what gets funded and what's interesting to be funded. In addition to this, and we'd love to work with you on getting the word out to people in India so that they could be part of this. In addition to this, we run a competition which is global. And again, I want to work with all of you to reach out into your communities. And this competition encourages innovation and entrepreneurship, specifically with focus on plastic pollution. As a result of it, the winners are invited to join the accelerator and participate in this program. So that's another infrastructure service that's available to them, because as a result of the competition, you're able to see how well you stack against others and what is your what are the financials, what is your business structure, how well do you work with others. And as I said, last but not least, we work to develop the investment and impact investment ecosystem. So from our perspective, all this is with focus on plastic pollution, but this is the biggest percentage of trash right now and the biggest problem, I believe, in waste management. So these are the infrastructure services that we're able to offer to entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Daniella. And Sophie, can you talk about the existing systems to support entrepreneurship in Europe or in developing countries where you're working?
Yes, well, because waste works a lot with entrepreneurs in many countries in Africa also. And what we do is we support entrepreneurs by trainings, but we also work with the banks in these countries to set up a guarantee fund. So there can be, when entrepreneurs is on a certain level and has a business plan that you can apply for a loan, that's also always very important, because there are many entrepreneurs with a lot of innovative ideas, but the financing part is often the key challenge. So that's also an issue where we are working on, and we, as Waste, we also are offering services through the incubator. I think that's a little bit similar to the accelerator of Daniella, but I'm not sure, because we support innovative ideas in waste management, in sanitation, and in water. And we also give free advice through Skype sessions to local entrepreneurs, which always is very exciting, because we got a lot of entrepreneurs with a lot of exciting ideas, and we can help them with some advice and also link them to funding mechanisms.
Thank you, Sophie. I was not aware of the incubator at Waste. We'll try to put more information about that on the website once we're done with the panel here. And Yeah. And Heights, can you talk about the existing infrastructure in Europe for entrepreneurs?
Well, actually, at this moment, there are a lot of accelerator programs here in Europe. For most entrepreneurs, it's actually you have to choose one. We were part of climate. We were part of Climate Kick, and which is actually a really good program. And they get you from the first part, like business model. What is your business model? You're going out and you're going to test it and adapt the model, and finally you turn it into a business model which you can pitch to investors. So and during that part, they support you with really good coaches and with a small part of money which you can start up a couple of things. But for me, the most valuable part of this whole program is not so much the program itself, but mainly the contact with other entrepreneurs, which is in this case not so much the within waste management, but more broadly also in clean tech. Which you can actually learn a lot from, and secondly, they provide you with masterclasses, with really top-level masterclasses on sales or finance or whatever subject you're interested in. And those two parts are really well. They can actually you can learn a lot, but at the end, as an entrepreneur, you have to do it yourselves. So programs, yes, really fine, but at the end, you have to do it yourself, and it takes a lot of time. All those accelerator programs, so you should be a little bit selective on which program is actually suiting your needs. And can improve your business idea and can help you start it more quickly than you could do it on your own. So my tip to people who are looking into entrepreneurship is there are existing systems, but try to pick one which you think suits your needs and where you can learn the most fast and grow the fastest as you like as an entrepreneur.
Go ahead, guys. Nice. What are you saying? Okay, all right.
That was it. There are a lot of existing systems for entrepreneurs, and I could give you a list of all the accelerating programs in the Netherlands, but I think you can find your way as a potential entrepreneur, and I think like initiatives like Think Beyond Plastics and also from waste. Well, those are accelerating programs that, if it suits your need, you can learn so much from it. I think, and for us it was Climate Kick, but for every entrepreneur, it's actually meeting other people and meeting other entrepreneurs, learn from them, and get started.
Yeah. And so people outside Europe might think you have a better problem to deal with than having no incubators at all. So so what you said was the master classes that they were providing were extremely useful for you, and also you mentioned the exposure to other entrepreneurs in different fields also was very useful to you. So that's wonderful. And Srikrishna, can you talk about the fund that you have and the kind of services that you're providing to entrepreneurs in India?
Yeah, guys, I wish India was part of Europe because there is so much of funds availability there. Unfortunately, India doesn't have so much of funds. We are trying to set up that ecosystem of a funding pool. So basically, we are trying to attack the problem through three routes. I'll go one by one. The first route is we are trying to identify credible NGOs, identify whether they have a cash flow issue, whether there is an issue with they need a little bit of investment in the capex or in the opex, and we try to help them resolve their problem. Second, we find if there are no NGOs, because you can't find an NGO in each city that you want to scale or you want to grow, we identify some organizations who may not be a part of waste right now, but they might be some livelihood organizations who are into allied, let's say, an agriculture or any other service, and tell them that we have a few business models on waste. Would you like to take up? We would give you some seed funding. So that's the second kind of investments that we are looking at. And the third is something that we are thinking of very actively for an incubation model as well. So we want to do a 6-month incubation for individuals. We will call them over, do a complete incubation program, including helping them work with any of our current partners, provide them some seed funding, help them stabilize their business, and then they are on their own. So we think with these three models, we kind of cover the gamut of investments that is needed to kickstart or accelerate investments in waste management. So, I mean, that kind of sums it up what we do. Apart from that, each of these business comes with a set of tools, like I said before, which is what we are, which is what we conventionally do as an IT services company. So there are a set of apps where you can track your waste flow, you can see a lot of impacts, and then you can generate graphs, and then you can, do some social media stuff and a lot of other stuff, anything that you can think of IT, where IT could help in terms of apps and a lot of other things. We do all of that, but business, entrepreneurship first, and IT and services, everything follows.
Yeah. So, thank you, Srikrishna. And next, I'm going to ask each. So we have only 5 more minutes. So I'm going to ask each of the panelists to mention a point that you thought we missed in this overall discussion, and then also conclude and put your concluding remarks. And before that, Srikrishna, it was wonderful to learn about what you're doing in India. And in addition to this, BWasteWise itself is working with a donor in the US to provide some viability gap funding for startups in Kerala, a state in India. And we're talking to Mindtree and Srikrishna about that, on how to move ahead. But Daniella, so could you mention a point that we totally missed, and and also conclude?
Yeah, it's actually the 600-pound gorilla in the room when it comes to plastic. It's the oil prices. The really cheap virgin oil is a big problem. It has removed all incentives to collect plastic. People used to live on collecting PET plastic. It's no longer viable. And we're seeing it all over the world. I saw it in Central America. I'm seeing it in Africa. I'm seeing it everywhere. And the problem is a model of waste that is based so heavily on something with a market volatility such as oil is not viable. Because anytime the oil prices drop like they are right now, we're going to see this pile of plastic on the streets. The incentives are simply not there anymore. So it's a big problem. It's a conversation going on around the world right now, and I'd love to talk to all of you offline about how this can be addressed.
Thank you, Daniella. Sophie, would you talk about what we totally missed in this conversation?
Well, as a conclusion, I want to say that I believe a lot in achieving development through local private sector development. I believe in development through the entrepreneurs who have innovative ideas, who will come up with solutions in waste management. They are needed, and I hope we can support them to make a reality of their businesses and that they grow their businesses.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sophie. And Gijs?
Yes, one of the key takeaways from ISVA 2015 for me was the insight that waste management is actually not really high on the political agenda. If you look at the international scene, it's not like in the top 3 of which was explained by Dambisa Mojo. Yeah. Why it's not, and I really liked her story. So for me, we should make it like the problem. What she told us is should get more urgent. We should explain more to the others outside the sector why it's a really urgent problem, and why it is at least as important as water and sanitation and education problems. And if we can do that, I think all the problems such as price, oil price, etc., can be solved once we can explain to the rest of the world why it's a really urgent problem. And for example, if we look into waste and all the pollution in the big seas or in the oceans, I think it should be in the top 3 of our problems, and we need to solve that as a sector. And after that, the opportunities for entrepreneurs will come by itself.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys. And actually, during the closing session of ISWA, I actually called out to everyone, to outreach, talk more about the work they're doing. Here, I think the sector is kind of segmented, and people working on plastic pollution are totally different from people working on landfilling or waste energy. So I think it's really important that all of us come together as one single community and then communicate about what we're doing. I think that will definitely increase the priority on political agenda. Srikrishna, your comments.
I think I mean, it's quite great. I mean, that waste is becoming discussing. People have started discussing more and more about waste. But in terms of investments, because we always see that in a sector, if there are more and more investors that are actively looking for, then that sector will actually grow after a period of time. As of now in India, a lot of millions and billions of new dollars have been investing in various sectors, but obviously wasted not in one of their core agenda. Maybe one of the reasons may be that they don't really see any short-term or a long-term impact when they invest in waste management. Daniella and others briefly mentioned about impact bonds. So if we believe that impact bond is definitely the way to go in terms of waste management investment, attracting good investments and other kinds of, I mean, different types of investment, whether it is a grant or it is a equity investment or that kind of stuff. I believe a little bit more discussion on an impact bond will actually help customize our solutions and accordingly, which will really help entrepreneurs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I'll have impact bonds as a topic for future discussions. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. And our next panel will be on the 23rd of September. Please follow us on social media or subscribe to our newsletter to learn more about the topic and panelists and timing and everything else. With this, we end this discussion today. Thank you. Have a good day, good night, good evening. Bye.